on you. What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party.
Peace and love, party people. This is Talib Kweli, the MCEO, the BKMC. Welcome to another wonderful, fantastic edition of the People's Party. Give it up for Jasmine, Leigh in the place to be. That's right. Slow clap. Slow clap.
We love her.
How you feeling, Jasmine?
You know, I can't even put it in words right now.
What's your dress say?
Oh, my dress, which you can't see, it says Exit 21.
Exit 21. And why does it say Exit 21?
Because that's the exit for Roosevelt, baby.
No doubt. Today's guest on the People's Party is from Roosevelt, Long Island. And we're going to get into how important Long Island is for hip hop. But today's guest is not just a hero of mine, but a hero for anyone who loves social justice. A hero for anyone who loves black music. A hero for anyone who loves hip hop music. Anyone who's fought against a corrupt system. This man is truly an architect of what we know as hip hop. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to attempt to introduce him anyway. I was watching The Office recently, and BJ Novak's character was talking about Thailand. He's like, would you like me to tell you about Thailand? And Jenna Fisher character says yes. And he goes, it's indescribable. And that's how I feel about this guest. I cannot describe how iconic this man is and how much he's influenced me as a human being, as an artist. Fools multiply when wise men remain silent is a quote that's often attributed to Nelson Mandela. And that's a quote that I live my life by. This man lives his life loud, louder than a bomb. He brings the noise, a very noisy life. You understand what I'm saying?
That's what we're for.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one, the only, sitting across from the table from me today, Chuck D from Public Enemy. Give it up. What's up, Mr. Chuck?
My hero. Now I'm on the other side of the coin because a couple days ago I did the same thing for Rakim in his book. I had all my questions ready.
Yeah.
And you know, like you go in and say, well, damn, you know, it seems like everything seems perfect. It might not come out well.
Right.
And it was lovely, man.
I can't wait to see that.
Oh man, it was lovely, man.
I mean, that's the R.
Yes, that is the R, the God MC.
The God MC.
And another God MC across the table from
me. Please.
TK.
I'm honored and I'm humbled.
Give it up for you too.
Thank you. Now, Chuck D. Chucky D. Chuck Dangerous. You got a lot of names. First of all, let me give it up to my man Set Free, because we both got on his hat from the compound in the Bronx.
I got it up in NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago, and I wanted to wear it at that Bernie Sanders joint.
Right. We're going to talk about that, too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, because
that's a hot topic.
One of the reasons why we're here as well. I was supposed to be with you earlier in December, and this is what I get.
Right. Everything has its time.
Everything has its time.
And its place, and its season.
I know. Before that, I didn't have a bridge in my mouth.
Okay.
Well, updated bridge. So I'm getting adjusted to that. So if I end up sounding like Biz Markie, man, just don't play.
Well, at least Kanye through the wire.
No knock on Biz.
No doubt. Shout out to the Diabolical. Also Long Island representative.
And also one of the first political phrases in hip hop, you know.
Yes.
Reagan is the pres, but he voted for Shirley Chisholm.
He voted for Shirley Chisholm.
Ain't that what, right? Didn't that stick?
That's right. And Shirley Chisholm, like, she ran, he wasn't even talking about a recent election when he dropped that.
Right.
He was taking it back. He was giving us Black history.
I remember far back when Dick Gregory ran in 68.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I remember.
I don't remember it, but.
I kind of recalled it because, I mean, we were in second grade. And then, and kids back then, I was in Queens, we used to pick who you wanted for president. And not that you couldn't vote, but we were at least aware and astute enough. And, and as a black kid, and I went to Richmond Hill in Queens, so it was like white and Jewish kids there as well.
You were born in Queens, right?
Born in Queens, Flushing, in the shadows of Shea Stadium before it was built.
Man,
and
rest in peace to Dick Gregory.
Yeah, indeed. And I remember kind of seeing that because there was Dick Gregory records in the house, and so Dick Gregory, Red Fox, and
shit your parents wouldn't let you listen to.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't touch the turntable anyway. I mean, my moms would play a 45 to death. You knew that music in the household meant that you had to do chores.
Right.
So I couldn't get far away from Stevie Wonder and Superstition.
Right.
And then if it's a 45, it's going to play over and over again. Right. You can't tell your mom, like, woman, would you kind of like change this record? No, you better not touch that record, man. Finish your chores, and then you could go outside and play. So I spent a childhood trying to run away from music because music meant working in the house and chores. So that my mom's was Stax Atlantic, Motown, you know, and my father, jazz records from the Columbia Jazz Club, James Brown, you know, things like that. So, but my dad's sports fanatic. So
that speaks to the practical nature of Black music and Black art. So often when you think about art from a westernized European lens, it's art for the sake of art.
Right.
You put it on the wall to look at. It doesn't have any real use in life. But when you look at, when you go to a museum, and of course all those artifacts are stolen, but when you look at the African art, it's very practical. It's like spoons and bowls and stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Stuff
art,
that people needed to eat and live.
Art is everything, man, and everybody, you know, and art lives in everybody.
Right.
The processing in the Western world is, how do you get it out? How do you make people understand or respect it? You know, and everything is art. I was raised in the arts. I was raised to respect arts. I came out of a drawing and design and fool. Coincidentally, I don't believe things actually travel in the blood, but my mother's grandfather was the first licensed Black architect in New Jersey.
Okay.
Where my grandfather grew up out there, but he was a second licensed Black architect in New York.
Okay.
He helped worked on a Flatiron building and all that.
I just shot part of my video in front of the Flatiron building.
Oh, really?
I got a project with Diamond D, a project dedicated to New York, and that's just an iconic building, so I shot right in front of that building.
Damn.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Man, you come from Black excellence.
Right?
And yeah, you know, shout out to Diamond. We might be able to get you on that project, man.
Yeah, man. I'm available. As soon as this bridge gets right.
Right. Let's get it. For the younger people who might be watching this, I don't think some younger fans understand how ubiquitous and huge Public Enemy was in the music business.
Yeah.
There's a record on the radio right now. In the rhythm of the night. Oh yeah, it's like a popular club song, and I was in an elevator recently, and I guess there's a remix out now, and the young kid jumped on it like, yes, the rhythm, the rebel, and I'm like, oh, that's just Chuck D right there. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Public Enemy rose to the level of pop. And Karis, when y'all were at the height of your success, these are pop, hip hop groups. You weren't making pop music, but I'm just talking about the level of success.
Yeah.
Like PE was like a Migos, Karis like a Drake. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. And also we knew when we made our music. Remember, I was in a rare situation where I was asked for 2 years to make records with this new company called Def Jam. So I was like, Rick, stop calling me, leave me alone. We wanted to go on the radio because we felt if we went into radio playing hip hop records the way we did it and curated it, and we were aficionados of Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out and Magic, of course.
And that's where I first heard your music at those shows.
But even more succinctly, the sounds of World Famous Supreme Team. Well, I'm a big World Famous Supreme Team fan because of their looseness, and they were all over. So, when me and Flav and all of us did our thing at WBAU, Mr. Bill and Shockleys and all that, we were just attacking hip hop by playing it and making it and playing it, and there wasn't enough records then. So we treated it like the Rock Boys treated rock. And we was very competitive too, because we knew we was the underground, under the world bastard music.
Right.
So, we were like, okay, we're gonna make you respect us.
Right.
And we're gonna go head for head. And we were the radio station that Run DMC listened to when they were coming up.
Right.
And they formed themselves. I mean, when they would go around the world and come back to WBAU with tapes and stuff, and then to take the tapes from the station out to wherever they went to. So we were there, kind of like their home base. As soon as they come out with a demo, we'd be playing it. Dr. Dre comes from our camp. Andre
Shout
Brown.
Out to Dr. Dre. Yeah.
And
Long Island Dr. Dre.
Long Island Dr. Dre. The first Dr. Dre, I'll tell you a story about that. He has a record, and we was telling Dre, there's another Dr. Dre out there somewhere. He's with this wrecking crew. And we were like, he ain't gonna last long. You just keep that name, Dre.
Right, you got this.
And Dr. Dre named himself after, of course, Dr. J.
Right.
From our hometown, Roosevelt, too. You know that, right?
Yes, I do.
Of course. And so he's our hometown hero. And You grew up you were born kind of down the block from Eddie Murphy. The Murphys lived down the block.
I was, I moved around, but first Collin Road, then Lincoln Avenue. I was on Pennywood.
Yeah.
All over.
And Eddie and Charlie Murphy and Vernon Lynch, who actually later on was Canine Posse.
Right.
Them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie's rap brother.
Eddie's younger brother. When he did Coming to America, people thought that was me in the line.
Right.
Chuck, he's in the line. No, that was actually Vernon. So
right.
Yeah, they grew up down on Berkeley, which is a street down on Clinton, which is Roosevelt is a town with the streets are named after presidents. Mm-hmm. But we happen to live off Clinton. Clinton wasn't the president yet.
Okay.
No.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Or either that or Illuminati. No, let me stop.
You getting into it early.
I don't talk conspiracy theories. I leave that shit alone,
But
man.
that is true.
I don't even talk on that shit.
You talked about you were an artist and a graphic designer.
To the bone, man.
You designed the PE logo, right?
Yes, sir.
That's one of the most, if not the most iconic logo in hip hop, I believe.
And it originally wasn't for PE. It was for, we used to promote gigs all over Long Island, tri-state area. And we used to, not everybody was everybody. So we kind of like fill out the roster by fake names.
Okay.
Or cats, we would actually say, you a bunch of rappers, man, but y'all gonna be part of this crew. So one day I was listening to WHBI radio and I heard like a dedication, like this goes out to Funky Frank in the Street Force. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's a fly name to jack. So I jacked the name, I did a logo, and that was the logo for Funky Frank in the Street Force. They were from Brooklyn.
That's an ill logo for that group.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I nailed logos because I got really seriously envious of how the Rock Boys all had logos. They had jackets.
Heavy metal era too. It got crazy.
And on Long Island, they would play like you could make a living back then on Long Island and not go nowhere else because they had all the big rock clubs. And the rock clubs back then, and this is rock folklore, they used to like, boom, every weekend, 5,000 people, 7,500. So you have a rock band from Long Island that only does the New York metropolitan area,
right,
and Jersey, like and all, and just play that area and never go and do anything else and play in front of and so how many people do you play this weekend? Oh, we played like 15,000 because we played 5 clubs, right? So we saw how that movement was going.
Pre-internet, word of mouth, community.
Yeah, they had the spot. So we wanted to do the same thing with black music and DJing, and it was just walls, man. So we helped play the music, kept playing the music really well, and then the people who was making the music at the time said, "We want you part of our operation." And the first guy that left our whole camp that went to Def Jam was Dre.
Okay,
he had the original concept.
Right, I remember that record.
And he helped invent bass music, Miami bass.
Right,
because he actually came in. Keith Shockley and Hank Shockley, we always used to buy the Roland 8000, and they could tell you more succinctly than I.
I'll be seeing them at the little DJ conventions.
Yeah,
Keith,
major factor.
Yeah.
So we actually had bass lines running with the beat, made the beat, of course, on the Roland when it first came out. But Dre one day came in with the 909. And he found a way to actually manipulate the 909 and found a sustain button on it that go boom on the bass. Of course, he showed Rick Rubin, showed him how to work that. That's why you heard Together Forever in 1984.
That built that label. That built that sound. Right.
Yeah. And then Luke and them after that.
That's
so
right.
He built Miami
and then after
bass.
Luke and them, it's like trap music.
Oh yeah, trap. Yeah, way down the line.
I was just saying, it's crazy how New Yorker is the one that started bass music.
Oh yeah,
like
Dre.
We start everything.
Never gets any credit for it because people don't know. As a matter of fact, people they can't connect the dots. Because original concept is one of those important pillars of Def Jam,
right?
But also the last era of singles by a major record label,
right?
Because Def Jam was an important label because they had to signify that rap albums could work.
And of course, Dre got famous with Ed Lover on MTV Raps, and they did movie projects. But that's another layer on top of why people don't understand his contribution on that side. Because when they do know about him, they only think of the TV stuff. They don't really know about, you had to be a real underground hip hop head, like in the culture, to know about that original concept record.
Well, to know is 2 words that actually leads up to science. Science, science is to know.
Yeah.
So when I talk to young people and they might not know me, well, you don't know actually the the faces in your pocket on the money
Yeah.
either. But you want them and you got them. You have a device or a gadget in your pocket that's either a tool or a toy. And the thing that signifies, I guess, the space or the timeline of a human being, if you use a phone and there's more tool as you go along, then that's proper use of your gadget and comprehension of your gadget before the gadget ends up running you.
That's right.
So you got to manage the machine. You can't master the machine.
Right.
Because these situations are set up for these machines and gadgets to pretty much not be a portal for you, but you a portal for them.
Right.
And and consumption is the thing that comes through it. So I tell young people all the time, you got a computer in your pocket. It's not just a toy, it's a tool. But you got to kind of manifest and learn some things in order to use it right, just like any machine, like any car or whatever. So so I kind of turn it right back around on them. The best thing to teach young people is you kind of like turn it back around on them to make them come up with their own answers of what they think. And that's what keeps, I guess, me relevant when I'm on a one-on-one. I've spoken in 900 colleges over the last 35 years, and I could keep people there 3 hours because you got to it's give and take.
Well, you also pay attention to the trends without following them. You're very prominent on social media. I'm on Twitter often. I spend a lot of time there.
We talked about that. you're prominent, right? Let me tell you, man.
You come to my aid a lot, and I got to thank you.
Your aid? You don't need no aid. It's like a million of you dudes, man. It's like I tell people, I say, you mess with him, man, be prepared for acid burns, man, because you really don't want it. You really don't want it, man. It's like the existence. I mean, you're a virus on Twitter.
No, in a good way.
It's a problem, man.
Right.
And I just watch it. It's entertainment. I tell people quite simply, I said, messing with Talib Kweli, all you doing is giving them bar exercises.
That's right. People don't get that. You get that as an MC, though. People don't get that.
Well, that's the language, that's the inner dynamic of hip-hop and MCs and DJs and all that. We have an inner language that hasn't been curated and brought out into the world yet. So there's this assumption that hip hop is just what they see and what they hear. It's beyond what you hear, beyond what you see.
That's right.
And there's an inner language that's been going on for years. People just get that from sports just now.
Right.
Because sports used to be this thing, you go to the game, you watch people, they shoot hoops and all that, the winner or loser. But it's metastasized in all these little networks and all that. I mean, if you got 500 broadcasters, everybody's getting into the nuances of the game, and you do that for 20, 25 years, and then people grow up with the nuances. So there's this other language that takes place that they hone into, body language, just this a total flow. Hip hop never really got off the bricks with that. It got to a point, and then all of a sudden it was appropriated by other situations. So it never grew past the point where you had the administration and the scholars in lock teaching and curating what it is so people could grow with it and venture off to new areas. It's scattered though. It's scattered all across many lands across the world. I've been to 116 countries on a regular and go back and forth. And it's areas that curate way better than we do, but they're in different languages as well. When you go to France, it's like, if you can't speak French, there ain't no fucking way you're going to understand what they're saying. You can't break anything down, if you don't know the language. So I tell people all the time, it's the beats, but if it wasn't about a person spitting, then we all be flocking to instrumentals. And if it wasn't about what the person was spitting in the rhymes, then it wouldn't matter. That means you should be open to any language because don't give me that, I don't know what they're saying. Well, you saying somebody's saying too much and now you're saying you don't know what they're saying. So what is it? It's like, I feel you. So don't get into this bag of saying, I don't really care what they have to say. So if you don't care what they have to say, then take Brazilian.
Right.
Because they got, they chopping it. They come in with, and it as well. MCs in the world, especially you can go to Africa, man, they braiding languages. So if they braid in this language and braid in that language, and they're still on the flow, and then they're going into different levels of beats and stuff like that, are they more advanced? Or are they not? Or are they somewhere else?
I like that, braiding languages.
Yeah, man. I mean, and perform them well.
Yeah. To
make you, bottom line, when you're up looking at a performance, man, it's panoramic, so you're going like this. Right? And I'm giving kind of like 12 years ago rules too, because you know it's changed the game.
Yeah.
Screens have changed the game. Screens in people's hands and the screens on the stage. So a performer really doesn't have to get into a crazy performing bag.
You're right.
Screens cover them.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I do find myself on stage paying attention if I can see the screen and like allowing that to affect my performance. Like I can move this way, I can move that way.
Right. Rocking the screens is teaching a performer how to perform today, as opposed to rocking the stage and the crowd. Because you could be in front of the stage, you could be on the stage, and they could be 10 feet away, and they might still be on their phones.
Yeah.
So, and they not. A lot of times people say, well, they're just trying to capture the moment, but it's a little bit more than that. It's like trying to capture the moment, but also checking you out through the screens, and then they got the screens on the side, and no matter what venue you're in now. Smaller venues also got screens too. They're made to the point where now MCs could do stadiums now. I mean, we played the first stadiums where we played, Public Enemy played with U2.
Yeah.
And we're coming out and we're playing like Dodger Stadium, stadiums. And I'm like, up on stage, I'm like, what is this motherfucker getting from this show way up there? Oh, how could he be digging this? And U2 had the projection screens. But also they had the budgets and the power to actually have power in their sound and give you some kind of screenology going on.
I just saw the Joshua Tree reunion anniversary show couple years ago in Barcelona at that Barcelona football stadium.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, but I didn't have VIP status. I'm way in the back watching the U2 show.
I got Acura status at all these places too.
But the screens was a big part of it. What were you about to say?
Oh no, I was waiting for you to finish, but I was going back to the Twitter. The Twitter. I sound like an old lady.
The Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
Kweli, you're on that Twitter
you're
again.
on that Twitter, the Twitter thing. People say that Talib shouldn't argue with racists on Twitter. What do you feel about that as being his friend?
Oh, it's wonderful. Like I said before, bar exercise for an MC. I see him, and every time I peep Talib's responses, and I'm saying, yo, that's a joint. That's a jam later on down the line. I said, and when you get song ideas, it's not like I'm gonna go get song ideas. It got to come to you. But I'm pretty sure in some of your tweets, you're like, oh,
yeah, I do save some of them. Like that's a bar,
right?
And it makes it in a bar later. That happens
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. He's not just and then the basis of MCs and the whole thing is find an enemy anyway. Me, I didn't find a person as an enemy. I found an existence as something for me to be ferocious and attack. So it was sort of like, anonymous, invisible, but it was a thing. It was a stigma. It was a reality. It was like, Public Enemy is going to attack racism. It's going to, on our first album, Yo Bummer's the Show. We all in this together, foot in the door. The government's responsible. Is the underpin,
right? And
like go at it. This is in the middle of R&B, man, and that's Reagan and Bush.
Right, you was a rebel without a pause.
Because my first demo, it wasn't a demo. It was actually a radio promo.
The Public Enemy #1.
Public Enemy #1 was made on a pause tape.
Now,
me and Flav
I used to make pause tapes, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Public Enemy #1 it was made in 1984 with 2 tape decks.
Yeah,
explain
crazy.
Pause tape for those who don't know what tape.
So I'm gonna try to explain how I did it and see if you did it the same way. And it wasn't like I had these conversations because Q-Tip, I spoke to him about pause tapes too. He was making pause tapes.
Yeah, of course.
They talk about that in Michael Rappaport's documentary. But for me, it was like there wasn't any instrumental, so I would either wait till BLS at the end of Marley Marl set, they play like a house music set, right? And some of those house music records would be a certain tempo under 100, and I would take that on one beat and just play the beat, four measures, 4 bars, pause it, play 4 bars, or like EST Act Nicholas one. Every record back then had a DJ cut where the DJ would get busy, where the MC wasn't rhyming. So I'd find the DJ cut, and EST had one, I don't remember the name of it, but that was one I did. And I would make 4 bars, pause the tape, rewind it, bring those 4 bars back. It's like sampling.
Yep. It's, and when you have a glitch, when you don't have the perfect timing, it gave it the feel of a funky band, and your vocals kept it together.
Yeah, it's funky.
Yeah, and your vocals glued it.
Yeah.
So the first Public Enemy #1 demo that went, it was a big like hit in the region because we tried to make promos because we didn't have enough records. It went around and it was promoting WBAU, our radio station, and that's the song that Rick wanted.
Now, Rick Rubin, I've heard rumblings that he's a conservative. Have you heard the same thing?
I have no idea. Rick is from another universe.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
from another place.
He dresses
man.
like it.
Yeah, yo, man, he's a contrarian. He's just, and you know what? The longest conversation we had ever was like 2-3 months ago when me and Be Real made a song. We even
Prophets of Rage.
Yeah, we made a Prophets of Rage track. But even when he interviewed me for his show, I think that was the longest conversation we ever had.
Oh, you did his show?
Yeah,
I need to see
longest
that.
conversation we ever had.
I need to watch that.
And really, it's telepathic. It was like, cool.
Now, Rebel Without a Pause, you say you shout out Asada Shakur, but you call her Chesamard. Was that coded? Because only people who really knew the movement would have known her name.
Chesamard sounded better.
Okay. It was an artistic choice.
Hard. Chesamard. Okay. I mean, as an MC, man, there's certain things, man, that if you grab a word and you grab the word by its tail,
you write around it too.
Nail it. And they would have to look up, Asada.
It's education.
And understand, this is 87.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was early.
I'm affected by when the feds trapped Asada Shakur.
Yeah.
We're present, in this when it all happened in Jersey. And it was just something, it's you write half the song and the song writes the other half. And there's some things that you can't explain. So a lot of those lines from that song came out and flowed out because me and Hank Shockley went one night to Old Westbury and the DJ played the greatest song of all time at that time, greatest that just floored us. And the dude played it 9 times. It was I Know You Got Soul, Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah.
And we stared at each other because we were getting heat, because we all had the same management. Eric B. and Rakim, they had a year seniority over us. We were coming in 87. Album group, not even, because back then you had to develop yourself in the street, so you had to get that street single at least first. And back then, Def Jam was the label that went from hip hop being a singles music into being album music,
right?
And LL Radio crossed that, and then the Beastie Boys Lights the L, and then Raising Hell with Profile, so all the same camp.
Right.
So it's album-oriented music. So we come out with an album with no street single that nobody knew. So we were like, man, we got to find. I mean, Public Enemy #1 was dated, so that was made in '84. So here it comes out 3 years later. It sounds ahead of its time, but the rhyme styles are kind of like
the rhyme
back.
animal style.
Yeah, it's like back a little bit. So Rebel Without a Pause was that combination of all those ingredients that Rakim and KRS changed the game in '86. They changed the rhyme phrasing and just the beat patterns were just different. James Brownish. So we went out there like a hungry dog, man, at chickens, man. So
you said that LO had the radio record. Radio was so prominent, but your stance was radio suckers never play me.
Yeah, because radio stations didn't play rap except for in their segmented areas, and one of the things that New York could have did back in the day in the 80s was realize the power of hip hop and made one of those cheesy ass non-functional AM stations all hip hop all the time. Like later in that day, you had places like in Norfolk and in
LA
Richmond.
too.
Yeah,
LA was doing K-Day was early.
K-Day was a good place to PE. Yeah. And you hear in like 2:00 in the afternoon, AM station. So New York never did that. New York didn't turn the leaf until like 93 when Hot 97 came out.
When they hired Flex, and Flex's program was bigger than everything else, all the other programming.
Yeah, and so that changed the whole thing.
So you started rapping in 97 at the NYC Blackout?
Oh, it's 1977?
Yeah.
No. I started fingering around with it in 78. I always went to hip hop gigs, like to dance, like to do the flyers. First met Hank Shockley wanting to do the flyers for Spectrum City. Well, they was called Spectrum. We put the city on later on when we was
the
in the
Super
80s.
Spectrum Mixed Hour.
Yeah. I mean, Hank and Keith are phenomenal sound people. Hank would make like a cheap little system sound like $1 trillion because his ears and just the way he would mess around with it. You know, their father was a person that was a sound connoisseur, so they stayed with that all their lives. So, I wanted to do flyers because I said, look, you guys are doing gigs, man, but you guys are the best in Nassau and also a little bit of Suffolk and a little bit of Queens, but if I did your flyers, everybody'd be at this gig.
You still on your art vibe.
I was phenomenal, man.
But what's interesting about you starting off as a radio sort of jock is that Public Enemy, the music had this urgency, breaking news sort of feel. Like when you listen to a Public Enemy record, you feel like you listen to the radio with all sound bites. And there's even like on the early records, it's like the future of the group is in danger. And it's just all this urgency. Was that on purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to have you half pay attention to me.
Right.
Voice is a voice. I mean, voice comes from heredity. My father, when my father yelled at, if he yelled at us, it was heard. My brother would be like somewhere. You'd be at your uncle's house around the corner.
Shut up, Uncle Mike.
And my father would yell out the door and he'd be like, and you'll see my brother, Eric, big shout to E Global. You didn't hear me talk. You didn't hear me yell. Everybody heard my father. So all he'd be at the top of Eric, Chucky, and it'd be like, yo, everybody heard him. So I have that voice that really seriously never got cracks in it. Never, I could yell over a mountain, man. So if anything as an MC, I could say that I am the best at. It wasn't the rhymes, it wasn't the flow, it wasn't the lyrics, I know I'm louder than anybody.
Louder than a bomb.
Yo, man, I could be louder. I've blown speakers, I've blown mics out. I mean, when I was young, I would just show off when I was young and just blow the tubes. And they'd be like, look at, when I first started, I was an MC that make a Radio Shack system sound like $1 trillion. So there's a combination. He's like, Hank and Keith could make a Radio Shack system sound like $1 trillion, and I was the perfect MC for them. And it's like, yo, man, it's not what you buy, it's what you got. And and you ain't never gonna get it if you ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, things change later on, but that's where that comes from. Okay. Man. That's where it changed from.
Speaking of your parents, and you said you're from a family of the arts, your mom did theater, right? She used to throw plays around
my mom
Roosevelt?
It started the Roosevelt Community Theater.
Were you ever in any of her plays?
Yeah, I was in plays, hated it. I hated being the stage manager. I hated doing all of it, and we all thank my mom to this day because, I mean, it's stage. So here
you developing skills.
Yeah,
it all came back
presence.
Without even noticing what you was like, and trust me, man, my mom would be like, all right, let's go up to the school. And I got to be like the assistant trade stage manager. And I got to make the flyers. I got to do all that stuff. But what my mom's did to Roosevelt, creating a theater there where there was no theater. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like your family, the bookstore and stuff like that. You got to do these things or you could be in a serious situation where it just ain't done.
Yeah. And somebody got to do it.
Somebody got to do it, and my mom's did that for like 10 years and it really went well. It trained us. People like Eddie Murphy is in it. People, I mean, everybody in the town at least toyed with it.
Right.
That didn't want to play ball or whatever. So they toyed with it. It was like, all right, or they might have went out and auditioned for something. Me, I took it for granted because I was like, all right, got to help mommy with her thing, man. I want to kind of go to the park or something, but you
didn't have a choice. You
had no choice. So, but that was seriously training ground for me, and we all got involved with it, man. And it was major, man, major.
My introduction to hip hop was in 1988. When It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back first dropped. That's such an impactful, powerful title. Now, Public Enemy and you, as a solo artist, the titles of the records have always been so impactful. Yeah. Explain to me why you've made such a conscious decision to title not just the records, but the songs so vividly.
Well, I come up with a title and it's easier to write the song.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like go in there and then you got to use your imagination. So if you come up with an illustrious title, you can feel it. And that's pretty much my, the thing that worked for me. Now, sometimes an idea will come, divine intervention, you cap it with a title.
Yeah.
But a lot of times for me, I could get the ball rolling, and a great place for me throughout these last 33 years, really 40 years, is the car and long drives, because that becomes my studio, it becomes my training ground, it becomes I can't, I get on the road and I drive, and that's where the ideas always came.
Head gets clear.
I wrote Yo Bum Rush the Show in the car as a messenger.
Okay.
So me and Flav, right, was driving, and we formed Public Enemy #1 after a day of moving furniture for my pops, because we moved furniture around New York City.
The Public Enemy #1 was moving your furniture.
Yeah, moving furniture, exactly. Moving furniture. And then we finally dropped off all the furniture and got to Long Island. Then I did my pause tape thing and all. I said, yo, Flav, come in this room, man. Just open this up and close it out. And that came from Schoolie D, when he had Code Money open up on Gucci Time. And, so Code Money opened up on Gucci Time, was his DJ as well.
Okay.
It's also me and Flavor, James Brown, Bobby Bird.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody over there, get on up. So
right.
that period of James Brown.
Understanding the vocal dynamic and
it's like, I got bass, but it ain't totally bassy. He got a little treble, and Flavor got treble, but it ain't all treble.
Right.
It's like
both, Tip and Fife too.
And both of them irritating as fuck sometimes.
Right,
so and trust me, we wanted to make music seriously that will make your girlfriend run out the room. I knew if I made records that my girlfriend would run out of the room, we were good. I hated all that Luther Vandross, all that mid-'80s syrupy shit, man. I hated that shit.
R&B was very begging and hard bottoms back then.
Monty McLean.
Yeah, man.
Like 90s church music, man. I was like, yo, man.
A lot of hip-hop at that point, though, was very, strictly hardcore tracks. Not no New Jack Swing. It was very, very anti-R&B, we had to do that, though. You had to bring the noise, right?
Yeah. I mean, of course, you're not in your slow moments with no beats.
Right.
But I'm saying...
Except for LL.
Oh, yeah. Well,
when I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the ball.
LL's the master, man.
No
it's
doubt.
like the dude that can actually do that. And I seen...
And diss somebody on a hard diss record.
Right in the next quarter. I traveled with LL, man, in the glory years and in the later years as well, man. And I seen... LL in front of crowds make a crowd do what most people don't make a crowd do.
That's right.
And that's a very important aspect, too. It's like... Once you remove all the elements out of hip hop and just base it down to the MC, a lot of times people give me they give me a top MC list, and I'm like, saying, have you seen him in front of any crowds?
Have you seen him live?
Have you seen him in front of
it's literally to master a ceremony. If you're not mastering a ceremony, you're not an MC.
Yeah, you gotta rethink that. And I seen Big Daddy Kane make people cry.
Make people cry and then get up and dance.
I know, right? Exactly.
Right.
And then spit while dancing. That's the feat.
Doing a choreographed routine with other dancers and spitting hard bars.
Hard bars, man.
Right.
This is what, people like that.
To this day.
Well, people like that made me train young guys, then young guys, right? Leaders of the New School and Buster on them.
That's interesting, because that was my next question. A lot of people don't understand that Leaders of the New School. I was going to talk about
Yes, sir.
Don't Believe the Hype.
Yes, sir.
And how many catchphrases and vocal samples came from that. And one of them is Leaders of the New School.
Exactly. Leaders of the New School, uncool, never played the rules, So
another one was Coming from the School, Law Hard Knock. That was everywhere. But Leaders of the New School, for that group, Charlie Brown to me sounded like you.
Yeah, I mean they were young guys in the neighborhood. Buster, Dinko, Charlie Brown, Johnny Juice.
Right. Was Buster
Milo.
the same back then? Same
Buster
energy?
was listen, they all were like what you call whippersnappers.
Okay.
Like sit your ass down type dudes. Leaders of the New School was in the room at the same time we were developing the track for Rebel Without a Pause.
Okay.
So the reason is we in developing the track for Rebel Without a Pause, which is like combinations of Miles Davis and also the Grunt and so on, right? These dudes was running up the wall. I swear to God, Buster and Charlie running up the wall in our studio. And we like, sit the fuck down.
Right.
Every time we would go, there, and they would just go into this crazy, wild, gyrated dance. It's like,
love it.
I know I love
the
it.
sound of the Zeekers.
That's what I'm saying. I know I love it, but these motherfuckers are insane on it. Because to tell you the truth, there was another thing that also they were going off to, and it was Sly and the Family Stone sped up Thank You for Talking to Me, Africa. So it went doom, 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 doom. So those two records, these guys was running up the wall. I know the Rebel thing is going to work.
Right.
But
that horn shit.
Seeing them crazy with it, I was like, okay, that's a cosigner. So yeah, we used to make those guys like, okay, run around the track and spit verses.
Yes.
Now
Backwards around the track and spit verses. Because you know what? And don't never, you're going to come in with other acts. So you be the act that never stops moving.
You know what's crazy? Remember I said to you earlier, we was talking about how when I heard House of Pain album title, Truth Crushed to the Earth Will Rise Again, it made me feel like they was doing a Public Enemy thing. But we had Everlast on the show, and I asked about Jump. Jump Around.
Yeah.
And he said, it's because I was touring with Leaders in the New School. And he said they was on stage jumping up and down, and they would be like, jump, jump. And Muggs said, we need to do that on a song.
Yep.
So shout out to Leaders in the New School for making that happen.
Shout out to Muggs and Everlast, too, for being able to recognize that. You know, Public Enemy is the first group to go into Ireland. We go into Ireland end of 87, man. You want to talk about, it was cold. It was really outside Trinity, which was really the posh British at that time. You know, at that time in Ireland, it was going down.
Right,
Northern
IRA
Ireland,
shit.
Yeah, IRA, Northern Ireland, Belfast. I mean, hardcore.
Right.
And so we was like, well, we don't feel like playing for these British kids who are in Trinity, which is kind of like walled up and protected by the aristocracy there, you know, because, you know, everybody in Dublin, man, they like bone broken. They mad at this aristocracy. So we made sure before we play at Trinity, and the gig was like 5:30 in the morning, T. Like 5:30 in the morning.
Like dance hall hours.
5:30 is like in the middle of, into some collegiate weekend shit, like, right? We made sure we went into some hard knock clubs, man. And yo, man, them clubs, man, in Dublin 1987, man. So we put legendary shows down that people never ever forgot, you know, and then therefore it spread and everybody realized that you ain't got to be like, you know, us. You can be you, but this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And go at it. All right? You ain't from the States, y'all ain't from London, but we ain't from New York City, we from Long Island. You gotta be harder, swifter, better, and just keep coming with it.
No doubt.
Yeah, I saw like the minute they did the House of Pain thing.
You saw it.
It's forget about it.
And just to clear some things up, because I got into a debate with one of my friends. Busta Rhymes is from Uniondale, correct?
Yes.
All right.
But in the beginning, we wanted to shave off all Long Island. All Long Island.
He was born in Brooklyn, though, so I'm claiming him.
Yeah.
But he grew up in Uniondale.
this was a big schism. Like
the Long Island Brooklyn thing?
That's people don't never want to claim Long Island.
Not just
that's
Long Island Brooklyn thing, just Long Island and everywhere else thing, because Long Island was made up of migration of transplants from the city. My parents were born in Harlem. Both of them on the same street, 151st Street.
Pasta News said the same thing as people born in the Bronx.
Right.
Diamond D went to college in Long Island.
Right. So imagine the energy coming into one spot in a 20-year period from all these boroughs, except for Staten Island.
And Brooklyn is technically on Long Island.
And so is Queens, which is why I don't understand why y'all always trying to be like, y'all not a part of New York.
Well, see, you got to know history. You know, it was seceded, or added into New York in 1898 when they built the Brooklyn Bridge. Brooklyn was the largest city, one of the largest cities in the country. And then, but then also some fakery bullshit politics made Brooklyn a part of New York City as a borough.
Right, that's that Tammany Hall shit.
Yeah, most people in Brooklyn didn't even know it's Kings and Queens.
Right, we the Kings County.
Kings County and Queens County.
Right.
That's at the head of the fish.
Right.
So when you break down New York to even New Yorkers, it's an amazing thing to break down because New Yorkers actually moved that music through by what? The greatest mass transit system in the world.
If it wasn't for the subway, I would not be doing any of this.
And then you can get from one place miles to another place at a low cost.
Yeah. We was hopping the turnstile, so
you were
at a no cost.
And Bernard Getz had put a little wedge in there for a little while.
He did. He bust that gun.
But that's
in the subway.
That's what's so amazing about New York and living other places. Like, people don't understand it because it's like, even though I'm from Long Island, like, it's nothing for me to go to the city. Right. Whereas you're here in California, if you're in LA, it's hours for you to go
even
to
on
San Francisco or something like that.
I used to hide in the bathroom.
Right.
You're a criminal, Talib.
Hey man, I had to get around, bro.
Yeah, the study of New York. We could be here for hours talking about the study of New York, and people be like, "I want to hear part 2 and part 3."
Yeah.
The study of New York, Black and brown and Latino New York, just alone, because the styles traveled.
Mm-hmm.
The cassette tapes traveled. There was no reason for a person from the planet of Brooklyn to go to the Bronx at all. They're both outskirts.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason for somebody in the Bronx to go to Brooklyn.
But I'd hop that train to go battle somebody.
Oh yeah, later on. But back in the day, there was no reason.
Yeah.
So hip hop started in both places.
Yeah.
The hip hop that started in Brooklyn was more like up tempo, a little bit Caribbean style. There's not as many Caribbeans in the Bronx, but you have Puerto Ricans. So a lot of those, and then when they infused it with James Brown, that's why you got Kool Herc goes from Jamaica to Brooklyn first, and then it goes to the Bronx.
Yeah.
And becomes
same with KRS.
Right. Yeah, because you got the reggae style or the Jamaican style of turntables and microphone. So all this is a New York story that branches out. You know, you go into places like Newark, which is black. Newark got people straight from Georgia,
right?
But also been in Newark for 50 to 60 years.
Right, that
too.
great migration.
Right. So when you study migration of black people, man, you get all the reasons why culture is culture. And so when people actually figure out, like they try to say, I got hip hop figured out, it's like, you don't even know nothing about black people, man. You need to sit the fuck. You don't have like, for example, if I brought out my mom just showed me last night pictures that her cousin took in the 70s, but she also had an album of pictures from the 50s. Now, white America, when they say that, you know, I mean, you go out and look at billboards and they got all kinds of things where it seems like everything's mixed. And everything mixed is a great thing, I think, for human beings. But the business ain't mixed.
That's right.
The ownerships ain't mixed.
That's right. Top
so it's like
1% is 96% white on purpose.
Exactly. Yeah. So it could be mixture all the way around in order to get a head nod out of me. But when people say, "Well, I got black folks," I understand that. Man, all I gotta do is bring out a photo album from the 50s. That's the dark ages, bro. It's the 60s when people start to figure out, like, okay, Motown and a little bit of Dr. King.
The 50s, that's the reason, that's what the Make America Great thing is. They want to go back to the 50s.
Right, when we was just like not considered, but we had our own thing so thick because it's an interesting period. It's post-World War II. So that period from 46 to 61, that 15-year period, black folks were honing out. We was honing out muscles, swords, and knives, man, up for the battle. They got kids of parents who kind of like took it, that they said, we ain't gonna take that shit. Fuck that.
Yeah.
So the 50s had a bubbling up period of young people looking at, and then you got, of course, things that get documented a little better, more about James Baldwin eras and stuff like Miles and all that. And the 60s become the coming out period. But the 50s was the bubbling up period where it's still unknown. And because it's unknown, it's a lot of ourselves that we don't know. And then the further you go in time, that's 70 years ago. That's 70 years ago. So a person like myself going on 60, I kind of like, it's still kind of dark to me, but it's brought to life by my elders, but my elders are transitioning.
Right.
So we have things in our culture, and this is even happening in the culture that we have, which made sampling and all that stuff so great because it kept a little bit of us, and to ride on and revere and salute. And like, wow, that ain't never coming back. When Ray Charles disappears, that ain't coming back. You can mimic all you want. It's something in the bones that be like, yo, that ain't returning.
Right.
We have recordings, we have documentation.
That's right.
That's beautiful. But something is missing. Every 10-year period, a piece disappears. It turns into something else. But that's why we have to also watch out for the gadgets. The gadgets are here to enhance and to dig in. They're tools. They're not replacements. Which brings us up to like
it's imitation. Imitation of life.
Why I'm trending all of a sudden. And it is also why I'm here too, I guess too, right?
I have a question that's a little off topic because as you're talking and you're
There's
like...
no such thing as off topic.
Oh, you're right.
There's no such thing as off topic.
Not in this conversation.
Well, okay.
This is,
so you're educating a lot of people on black culture, and I know that...
You think so?
A lot of people don't know these things.
Well, you know what? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
A lot of people don't know these things. And it's like, growing up in Roosevelt, which is supposed to be considered like one of the worst neighborhoods to grow up, you're like bred on black culture. Why do you think that particular town raises their children on black culture like that so they can go out and, share it with the world?
That was the rule of thumb in the 70s and the 60s because like I was telling y'all before, it was a melting pot. So you had people from all over New York City in one little square mile town. So you had everybody trust together, but then at the same time, it was competition. It was a lot of times it was like straight out like hatred. Like, oh, you from the Bronx? You from Brooklyn? I mean, you got people living next to each other, talking their allegiances to a spot they were kind of born at, but they didn't really live. But they still had their allegiances. Their parents were from there. So people wore that kind of like on their sleeves in the first couple of years until Roosevelt became, this is Roosevelt, a rough place to go into because they rough on each other.
Right.
You know, but that grew into something else. And that growth was what do you call it? Cut short with drugs.
Okay.
The 80s drugs.
Yeah.
The end of the 70s. I could go on and on, talk about what happened, how it happened, and what made Public Enemy said, we're going to attack the drug game culturally.
Right. One of the ways in which PE tackled the crack epidemic in New York City and in marginalized communities was the song Night of Living Bassheads with the video. And PE videos was like movies, man. Like y'all took the video to before Hype Williams took the video to a new extreme. Like, was Brett Ratner involved in some of that stuff back in the day?
Nah. He did a PE video way later in the game as a favor for Russell.
Right.
But, you know, Hank
Shockley.
Yeah, he would be able to go in. He watched movies a lot.
Right.
I don't watch movies. He go into the imagination.
We know. I heard Burn Hollywood Burn. You not with all this Steel Magnolia shit.
It ain't really like that.
We got Matthew Modine coming in later. I was like, I wanted to introduce him to Chuck D.
but you know, Hank has a visionary, so he would look at the songs that I write and then take that next level. Me, I don't like being on camera, man.
Right.
I don't like no camera. I never.
Well, you're good at it.
I mean, it's
do what you got to do.
It's what you got to do in our trade.
Right.
I hate cameras. I hate videos to this day.
But that's crazy because like those videos, by the time I get to Arizona, Black Steel and Hour of Chaos, these videos are so powerful, brother. And takes it and fight the power, you know, for the Spike Lee movie, like takes a nation of millions to hold us back. To me, really showcase you and Flavor and the S1Ws and Griff and Terminator X in a way that just was so iconic and classic.
Yes.
Before we talk more about what's going on, why you're trending now, can we talk about Flavor Flav?
I'm trending like a chicken sandwich.
Okay, Popeyes.
Can we talk about Flavor Flav as a musician, as a bass player, as a MC, as probably the greatest hype man of all time, and why he was brought into the group?
Yeah, because Flavor, anywhere he goes, he'll suck the fame out of any spot. He's his own universe, man. You can't really fit him with anything. As a matter of fact, first met Flavor, he came with Son of Berserk, who was then called the Townhouse 3. He was a part of that crew. And
Change his style.
The first thing I told him, man, said he had a black jacket on, black mustache. He wore his mustache out, black jerry curl, black hat, black pants, black sneakers, a black keyboard because he was a musician with them, and also a black pack of cigarettes, which Players came out at the time. He scratched it off. And the first thing I said ever to him is like, man, can't smoke up here, man. And I hold DJ studio. And take your cigarette across the street, bro. You know?
Did he have the clock too?
No, I was the one that wore the clock.
Okay, you were the clock first.
I wore the clock because back
was this clock just bigger? Is that what it was?
Well, first I wore the clocks, and I told you to wear a clock, but we wasn't Public Enemy. We all worked together, and the kids at that time were wearing stopwatches.
I remember
Sports
that.
Illustrated, remember? That's 86, 85. Then Fortune Officers department store had, matter of fact, it was Son of Berserk who gave a clock and said, these are clocks that they use for the bathroom. In case, you can hang the clock on a hook and go, take your shower or whatever. And they were at the store called Fortunars. So then our first tour, he got one, I got one. And we both wore clocks to signify, okay, what time
is it? Yeah.
Okay,
what time it is.
Are you aware? This is what's happening to you right now. This is R&B.
It's nation time. Countdown to Armageddon.
All that stuff, And, but we move around on the stage a lot. So I got tired of the clock going and hit my chest.
It's heavy.
Boom, boom. I had a little knot in my chest.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this clock is coming off of me.
Right.
And Flavor just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It also went along with his ego at the time. So we said, bro, you're going to hang yourself off Big Ben one of these days, bro. But that's where that got signified. And then 30 years ago to this month, Fear of the Black Planet was coming out. And the lead-off song to that was Now On Was a Joke. That was Flavor's shot. We said, dude, you got to lead this record because I kind of really not exhausted myself, but I said, it's time. You have to be a star. You have to take the lead. That's why you see me in, which was the easiest video day of my life. And 911 was a joke. I pop up at the end.
Yeah,
right?
real quick.
2 seconds, man.
Right.
Like, it's like, and that matter of fact, Questlove said recently, he's the dude that makes a cameo in his own video.
Is it? I was listening to some documentary, and is it true that Def Jam didn't want Flavor Flav, and that you were like, it's both of us or not? And if so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So what made you really fight for him to make sure he was a part of the group?
Well, we have different stories here. Hank Shockley says that, yeah, we should have him. I said I should have him because that's how we started. Public Enemy #1 has him in the beginning and the end. He gave me room to breathe in my verses because I'm like, rapid fire, give me a break. So when we start constructing records, remember I constructed the tapes and he buffered it out. And that style came from like Schoolie D and Cold Money. And then when we became more of a group, I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to do no records. But if I'm going to do a record, you got to take what I bring you and take what we bring you. And that's why Yo Bum Rush the Show is called Yo Bum Rush the Show. It ain't Chuck D gets a record deal.
Right.
It's like Hank comes in. Bill Stephanie becomes an executive. Harry Allen becomes the first hip-hop journalist. Then you got Flavor, who has no definition, and becomes a hype man. You have Griff and the S1Ws. What the fuck are they? You just take Terminator X. You got to take everybody. Bum Rush the Show means you trying to get in a spot that they don't let you in, and you can't afford what's at the door. So all you got to do is get a toe hole in that door at the side, and you all in. Boom. Right. And that's how that was our invasion of the record industry under our terms, and we said, we're going to give ourselves 2 years to change the game. And if I'm going to do it, you know what I'm saying? If I'm going to do it, as a matter of fact, 3 things I've done in my life ended up, because I didn't want to do, that I got coerced into doing. Like even the Prophets of Rage, I didn't want to do that. Conversations, something happened, and I'm like, okay, here I am, and boom. It's one of the great things that happened.
Now, when Flavor of Love popped off.
Oh, my favorite show.
I'm sure it is.
I loved it. Shout out New York.
How did you feel? Because I know how I felt as a Public Enemy fan, and I wasn't pleased. And I was not a fan of that show.
He was from Roosevelt and he was on TV. Like, that was awesome.
Flavor nothing is fake about him. He's authentic. He was having a tough time in the 90s as I was doing some things and he was in the Bronx. And he comes to my house. As a matter of fact, Hank was over my house. And it just wasn't, he wasn't going to make it in the Bronx where he was living.
Yeah.
Situations turned around. He got a lawsuit out of that. It's just he was spiraling in the Bronx. Look, when we're a group, we can hold it all together because, especially back then, the addiction Flav had was not drugs, it was fame. And you got to kind of see that today, that they are addicted to the little screen and putting their face on it. They're addicted. That's their addiction. Flavor's the early addiction is not drugs, fame. And there was a period where everybody was doing their thing. You can't monitor what a person does when they're at their crib. I mean, they're a grown-ass man.
Yeah. Got
their own kids and grandkids in some cases. As you keep a monitor on it, but, you ain't up on it every day because, when you come together, I bring everybody together, then we work together. When everybody get off that last date or that last tour, so you've been living together all this time, it's like, I see you like in a couple months, bro. Or I call you once in a while, but it's like, you talk about a group that at that time, it was 10 years in a row. That was 30 years. So it's like, I kind of don't want to see you.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so he's having a tough time in the Bronx, and this was like 96. And it was suggested he just go to LA, man, because you could be you in LA and you be a star.
Right.
You being you in the Bronx, you end up as a dead man. Yeah. It's just like, and he went out and carved some inroads out in LA first, hooked up with one of the good sisters that we know, Princess Hemphill, stayed with her for a while, kind of like had a little direction. I think he made an appearance on somebody's
reality show.
Surreal Life?
They was in the Surreal Life. They was on
Surreal Life and sucked the stardom out of that show like we knew he would.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I used to always say, yo, Rico is his nickname. Flav, listen, man. You need to do movies or TV or something, because if you're not going to work on songs and stuff like that, you need to do something. You got to be productive, man.
Yeah.
If you ain't going to show up to the studio, you ain't going to be a rehearsal, you need to. But let me tell you, when you get in that TV world, the motherfuckers are going to be waking you up at 6 a.m, man. None of this, like, you got to read scripts. I would tell them, I was like, you got to do this, you got to do it. But that's your world, bro. Little do I know that all you had to do is wake up and the camera would be on. That's the beginnings of reality TV.
That's right.
Because
he was an early icon in it.
Yeah.
A lot of this world is built on what Flavor did.
Right. We always knew when you walk in the room, you're going to suck the star. I don't care who is in the room. Mm-hmm. Who is in the room? Flavor's gonna get noticed in that room without overtly really trying. He's just that natural pest motherfucker, right? And then I went to a bunch of different reality shows from there. But we knew that. I mean, this is your thing. Now, how to control it? One guy he had in his corner is his cousin, great guy, Greg Johnson, was his cousin and his accountant and his manager for many years. And so you're like, I'm happy he's doing something, man. I'm happy he found it. Now, the content or whatever, I was like, I ain't watching the fucking TV anyway, but he's got to do something.
Yeah.
Because if he ain't going to be in the studio and knock out these songs and all that, or, he's got to do something, man. He can't be like, yo, man, when we going to go on tour? That's the most irritating thing forever. Everybody got their own lives and like, yo, let's go to Brazil. Let's go to Brazil. Like, yo, man, I'm like trying to stay put for a minute. So I was kind of like, he got his thing. He's making his money. I hope he's making a ton of it. Great.
But I've heard you also describe Flavor's role in the group as sort of being sort of this clown prince figure on purpose.
Yeah, because he's a lot smarter than that.
Right.
And a lot of times people, would say, well, you're Flavor Flav. He's this guy. He's the world's oldest teenager. Like they used to call Rufus Thomas. You can't explain
But you have
Rufus
to expect
Thomas.
some of that, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's
you
like...
gotta always expect getting the heat and hits from people who don't know you that you don't know. So being that they don't know you and you don't know them, you can't really have your day ruined and take a grain of salt. I think the end all is balancing out so your narrative would be like, okay, this is what it is. But it's going to be some shit rain that falls somewhere on the side. So it was like, okay, what I was really upset the most was the production company, Mindless Entertainment.
Was that the name of the production company?
Mindless Entertainment.
Sounds
and they
right. It fits right in.
And then later on, I've come to find out they made a deal with Mindless Entertainment for no back end.
Oh.
But I'm not
right. And you've been a staunch advocate for artist rights. And so that had to be
and that
upsetting.
don't mean that artist rights always, flow my way.
Right.
But let me tell you, I've been fighting, lost some, won some, lose some, win some. But, not having any back end rights. But then again, I'm not in nobody's business. I definitely ain't in Flavor's business. But that was something I think hurt him down the line, because you got this company that's dictating to him what the money's going to be, and it looks like a big amount of money when it's in the hand.
Right. And at the time, it was so culturally important, too, when Flavor Love and all the spinoff shows, it was so...
It started a huge
reality those guys. And then find out that I always gave those guys the side eye when I saw them, because I'm like, you don't give a fuck about him.
Right.
You don't give a fuck about none of this. You give a fuck about... And guarantee we can't find them now.
Right.
Mindless Entertainment. They've morphed to some other greater height somewhere.
Right.
They've built buildings somewhere in some city nearest you.
I was listening to an interview, and I didn't see who said it, but it was said that there was an issue because they didn't want Flavor of Love to be like the legacy of Public Enemy, because some people that are around that age group, like they will remember Flavor Flav from that instead of this iconic group.
It gets a little convoluted because, like I said, we've been to over 100 countries. So there's places before everything became like computerized and viral, they didn't know fucking nothing about no damn VH1 or Flavor Flav on TV. That became another world, another existence, and it became a discussion in the United States of America. And I have to be truthful, is that our base has never been the USA. Our base has always been London.
Base for your face, London.
Yo, when people talk about the international,
I say that every time I perform in London because of y'all.
Yo, listen, I'm telling people, the minute you heard It Takes a Nation of Millions to hold us back, you know goddamn well our base is in London. New York, it's London. It starts with London. And they start out like,
yeah. That blew me away when I heard it.
And that's why we wanted to put that on there, because we said, look, we ain't number one in New York. We ain't number one in Philly, although we had Philly for a couple of years. You only get a U.S. city for a little bit. Well, we took London, man. And when you take London, you taking the rest of the continent.
Right.
So we traveled the first year, we was with LL Cool J and Eric B. and Rakim. Eric and Ra already had their stakes in the United States, and LL was a hip hop superstar, also a USA superstar. We traveled internationally, so our stories were really more topical about letting people know with roots either from the Caribbean in the UK or Nigeria in many cases, or India in many cases, and said, yo, we talking to y'all. And then that stuck on them more than coming from the Yankee perspective from the United States.
Right.
And we dug into that. And our interviews were 2 or 3 pages that they read.
Right.
So when they showed up, especially our first year there, it caught Eric and Rod and LL by surprise, because they was like, God damn.
Right.
Remember, we played all year. We played all year on the Def Jam tour with LL and Eric and Dougie Fresh, who taught us. See, Dougie Fresh and Ecstasy from Houdini kind of taught us stage ropes and, mentored me and stuff
People
like that.
don't mention Houdini enough.
Yeah, oh man. I mean, you can look at Grandmaster D, Ecstasy, and Jalil. I watched them every night. And in Ecstasy was just like, no, you do that, move to the left, and don't turn your head there. People already know. I mean, that the value of the teaching from Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh is told that he was the one that came up with the S1Ws moving.
Okay, the world's greatest entertainer.
Yeah, Doug's my teacher in Ecstasy my first year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, when you in your first year, I mean, our second show ever was in an arena playing with the Beastie Boys. So the nerves I had, man, it's like, I mean, I had the jitters, man, all the way up to that summer, but you got to get it out.
Right.
Nobody starts dope.
Right.
Everybody kind of starts whack until you figure it out. The first time I saw like a arena full of people, man, I thought it was pizza, or it looked like a rug.
Right.
So I'm trying not to fuck up. I'm tight, man. And the first group or person that showed me that I could come and not be tight is Mike D of the Beastie Boys. We're playing Buffalo, man, that first License to Ill show tour. Mike D was so drunk, he fell out on the stage, laughing and being shit all over him. Right. And I was like, you could do that? Right. So I wasn't nervous as much anymore. Right. So although we're different with the antithesis on the other side, but those type of things, you gotta look at, you gotta get taught to be dope. Right. And you gotta find out where you could take from this and take from that. And then that allows you to see things different. I remember when I came on stage and you was in Cincinnati just blowing the house out.
Yeah, man.
You in high tech.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So Flavor, is the part that you pay attention to, because hip hop has to be panoramic, especially back then before screens. We know it's MCing, DJing, dance, and art. Well, that's what we were, MCs, the DJing. There's no description for Flavor, so it's almost like art and dance. Right. And that's one's an art.
But he had the dances. And
and gear is art.
Yeah.
So you see
hats,
the S1s, So it's still being panoramic, which would make you go head to head with a rock band. Although the sound is from one source. Right. But the panorama experience is like, oh shit. So you come in a spot, you feel the stage. Right. And it's all in motion. So we used to call certain jams at the beginning, like you see football formations, with a wide receiver flanks over and cuts across. That's how we would do a song.
Right.
Like, boom, every hut one, I'm quarterbacking. 2, 3, go, and we run the play. So we sports fans too, so we mixed all that stuff, so it did this thing crazy on stage and whatnot. So where we come to full circle to get this out.
Yeah.
Where, like I said, I didn't do the interview with you in December. So therefore, I'm thrust in the middle where I'm trending like a chicken sandwich. And I was outside the country when all those chicken sandwiches were trending and confused the fuck out of me. But after the Grammys, I mean, we were getting a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Grammys. And Deborah Dugan was appointed to be the chairperson of NARAS. Now, I've had a relationship with NARAS and the Grammys that it was like, in the beginning, who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy? But people kind of
Glad you brought that up because I was going to ask about that too.
But they asked out of context. The context that record was written in 87 for 88. There was no Grammy category for rap and hip hop music. So we fought as an unofficial union that happened. So I was like, who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy if they don't acknowledge us at all? So when they finally brought it in, I mean, look, there's pictures of us, Salt and Pepper, Ice-T, and all that on a roof saying, y'all got to do this. So when they finally did this, the first winner was Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. We championed them. Because we all went and protested together. It wasn't about, oh man, it wasn't Takes a Nation, $1 Million to hold us back. It wasn't Run DMC. It was Jazzy Jeff. So that was a lukewarm selection. We didn't care about that. The whole key was getting the category. And that's when I made my peace with them and worked with the Grammys. After a while, they got kind of like frivolous and lazy with it. To the point where I think I heard Jay-Z say, I drink champagne out of one of my, I get these shit so much. And I'm like, then that means that there's a problem in the administration of what this genre is, man. There's a problem with who has the narrative of this wonderful genre. It's not thorough. It's not wide enough to acknowledge everything in it. It's just taking it from the fucking top of the corporate heap and saying, this is the winner. It's like, yay, this year is Jay-Z. No knock against the top. But there's a middle and there's an area of all kinds of activity that at least needs a bigger council. I said, this shit got to change. So Deborah Dugan, who was recently appointed, she talked me into the changes that would take place. It won't just be reflecting old white men just throwing the Clive Davis, select that people and stuff like that. I mean, I love Alicia Keys. That year, I think she won an 8 or 11. She said, yo, man, somebody's pulling the fucking levers somewhere, man. Yeah. So Deborah Dugan, at this Lifetime Achievement, if I'm going to come out of my bag to come down and get a Lifetime Achievement, what the fuck for? It's about the genre. It ain't about public. I know my accomplishments, Public Enemy. I worked hard for us to get a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Grammy thing, I cool, but okay, what's the changes that you guys going to do? And then they fired her. So when they fired her over the same bullshit that she said she was going to change, I said, that's their thing. That's fuckery. I ain't going. Right. You have and she was the one that talked me and convinced me to go to be on the red carpet in celebration of it. I said, yeah, we got to do some more work from that. So I'll be a symbol, but we got to administer this art form. You just can't throw a cup at people or whatever that trophy is. So, and then it was, so I got tired of the redefinition and the narrative change of hip hop. And then it was the murder of Pop Smoke. And regardless of like what the young man was spitting, regardless of the young cats going around there and they on the edges, what is the Bobby Shmurda, and then he goes to jail, and then the dude that signs him, it's like, well, I just wanted to use him for the bounce that he brought to the table, and then all the extension and all that stuff, and it was like, yo, man, it's like, where's the grown pants or the ones that's minding the store? You would never see this out like a sports. They're the same age as NBA players. But there's coaches, there's agents, there's all kinds of people administratively that say, you know what? We let them do their thing, but we got to let them know that this is something that provides them an income, provides them a life that's taken care of beforehand so they can fit into it. So you never see, you rarely see a ball player get out of whack. They used to maybe 25 years ago, and they said, we got to also communicate with these young people, tell them what it is, and really, kind of nurture that and build it. And this is what's going to keep fans coming back even more for generations. And then there's going to be it's going to be interlocking between, people transitioning after ball playing into the business and all that. NBA does it well. The murder of Pop Smoke, man, to see that, it was like the flashback to Nipsey Hussle last year. Like, I have my rap station networks. We have 10 station
You've been doing it for years, focus on international hip hop is very wonderful.
And we play music. We don't kind of deal with the dirt about it. We like, look, man, we don't try to boost people's music because they go in the studio, come out, we're the place that they come. I've done it for 10 years, and really we're getting better. It's really a great thing to have. It's free. It doesn't cost anybody anything. But the narrative for hip hop at the higher end is like all of a sudden becomes this attention once rappers die. The dead rapper promotion thing.
Jadakiss. Yeah. Who's coming in later today, but dead rappers get better promotion.
Yo, man.
He'll be all right, though.
I was so pissed off, and you feel bad you feel especially bad because the young man was ambushed, home invasion, killed. But then this becomes the narrative that younger people look at and says, well, he got famous, and we see all kinds of weird science happening with that. And the last year with Nipsey, we've been playing Nipsey Hussle's music for years. Matter of fact, Nipsey Hussle was going to tour with PE, but he was one of the acts that we had to choose to tour with us as we did a national run. And we just didn't choose him, but I knew about him, and we said, well, I'm like this. I said, well, I'll still try to figure out ways to boost your career. And then when he got murdered last year, for a ridiculous ass, heinous damn crime that we don't even know what. Once these guys murder somebody, we never get they disappear.
You rap about that in Sex and Violence with KRS-One. That's the first lyric about how we don't know. I wrote the lyric down too. Hold on.
Well, Daddy-O has a song called Powder Burns on my label. Daddy-O for Stetson's on it.
Said, once upon a time, not long ago, a rapper got shot and no one knows who pulled the trigger on the kid and laid him in his grave. And after the prayers and the street parade, shit got forgot.
Yo, man, he kind of damn near predicted Biggie.
Right.
I mean, but the shit ain't never gonna forget Biggie because he's at such a height. But come on, man.
Right. Shout out to Daddy-O too, because he's redoing Self-Destruction right now.
Daddy-O is phenomenal, man.
Yeah, when you were on the original Self-Destruction.
And Daddy-O from Stetson Sonic has a label imprint on my label called Old Dad Truth, man. The dude has done 5 albums in the last 2 years.
No doubt. Shout out to Daddy-O.
And he's got another one coming out. Shout out to Daddy-O.
But yeah,
so it got to be like do rappers need to be killed to get noticed in hip hop? And this whole thing of bad news is the news, and making people like, okay, you know, often my daughter Dominique, who runs my company, she might say, Dad, that's not a good look. She might say that's not a good look. And I'm like saying, when the fuck does the good look get fucking acknowledged? Because the bad look got an elevator, man, and a rocket to it. And I'm just like saying, man, it's like, it's got to air out its dysfunction to get people to say, okay, there's a Talib who's one of the greatest of all time. Oh, please. And somebody could come out and be in the area of the swirl of dysfunction, and all of a sudden, it's not that just the people thing, but it's like the billboards, and they follow the story and they elevate the story, and they're in power positions. But they would never elevate the story. It's like, well, the Mick Jagger, they might do some things, but also the good things are elevated too. Mm-hmm. So so hip hop is only about the bad look, and the bad news is something they throw on black people. So we might as well just be bad people, because the only news that come out of us is bad news, and that gets elevated. So we just some bad news motherfuckers, man. I got tired of that, man. And social media is like. I always say that social media, like, they're sock med when the masses get transformed into them asses. They just move the M over, man. Right. And I would say sucking their gadget, inhaling digital gases. So, that the whole Pavlov response of people at this point, I got ticked off on that. And then the Pop Smoke thing is that now they're going to pay attention to this young man. It's tragic. But then all of a sudden, it rises up. And like you said, with Jadakiss coming in and talk about the marketing and promotion of dead rappers, use that as a portal to say we a bunch of dead people. We're at our best when we're all fucking dead. Now, that might be looking deep into the fucking soil, but that's how it comes out in the fucking wash all around the world, man. And we see the results, and it's just like, it's the side shot. It's the shank move. It's like, yeah, niggas. And it's like, wow, you're not, and then it gets to a point where you ain't got to say it, but it's the intensity, it's the radiation that you kind of feel. Yeah, niggas. And me, at my age, I said, I got tired of it. For 2 or 3 months, I was telling people, man, really for half a year, like, Chuck, you want to speak here, you want to speak there? And I said, well, I'm going to get this bridge put in, but really I ain't got shit to say right now because anything that comes out of my mouth ain't going to be good, man. So I was sitting there thinking, and one day I'd go through YouTube because I like watching old shit on YouTube, and I stumbled again for the 15th time on Orson Welles' War of the Worlds in 1938. And a couple sparks happened when I looked at it. But then I don't like to pull no fucking bullshit on people. Don't trick and fool the people. But the fucking level of technology coming through gadgets right now is an all-time high, especially in the art form I'm in. So, not to say that me and Flavor on 2 different pages, because we were always on 2 different pages, but we felt that over the past few years, Flavor's stock is low. Anybody could take a shot at him, man, could get a good shot of wow, you know? And my stock with Prophets of Rage does what it does.
Which is a group with members of Rage Against the Machine and Be Real.
Exactly.
And you toured the world.
It was a wonderful thing. 4 years we played in front of 5 million people. Now Rage Against the Machine is back.
It's back, right.
And myself, Be Real, and DJ Lloyd go to our respective situations. Quiet as kept, we might do something together, the 3 of us.
That'd be exciting.
And so it was like, well, I kind of looked at it, you know, me and Flav, every couple of years we renegotiated with each other, and I just said, well, something has to be kind of like done and figured out or whatever. And I'm not saying he wasn't happy with everything.
You're talking about the firing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the firing.
Okay.
And last year, me and Flavor had a small schism because I tried to say do production and stuff like that or whatever. And I formed a DJ compartment of Public Enemy with
Radio.
me, Lord, and Jahi on my label. It's really what it was is to promote Rap Station and the Spit Slam record label group, because Jahi is the head of PE 2.0, which is a side project with the band, but also he did 4 albums as well. Incredible MC that I spit with, have a great time, and was promoting his record. DJ Lord did 2 DJ records. So we put together Enemy Radio. And it rolled out last year for 11 dates with Wu-Tang, De La Soul,
yeah, great shows,
and DJ Premier. And this is a DJ component, not to do it long, but just to see if it works.
Right.
It worked really well. But you know what the fuckery was? That the promoters felt that they have to put public onto it. So we said 11 dates, you can call it Public Enemy Radio. I don't like it because Enemy Radio is not an infringement. And this is what it should be. But once again, listening to people like, it should be, I'm like, yo, man, this is what it is. It's not that. So, all right, so we crafted it under Public Enemy Radio. Flavor didn't like it, and I hear him. I said, you know what, next year, we did it, fine. It was always open for anybody else to use, because I first went to Flavor with Enemy Radio, said, do that. Well, I do Prophets of Rage. Me and Lord do Prophets of Rage because we're booked all the time.
Right.
But we're going to come back in there and retool Public Enemy when we're ready. Long story short, fast forward to now, I got the inquiry as far as also being up on top of what was going on with the Pop Smoke thing and being pissed off and seeing War of the Worlds. We had the Bernie Sanders thing, and it kind of came out, I don't want to go do no damn, fun thing. But then I said, you know what? You ain't, people talk about getting on a platform or a forum. I ain't doing no ordinary, regular platform forum. I got nothing to say.
Right.
If I'm going to do it on a platform or a forum, I'm going to get on a forum that kind of shakes
the
shit
big
up.
Stage.
Big thing and shake shit up. So I said, yeah, I'll kind of do that and get something across that I want to get. It's about Bernie Sanders. Not exactly. I like him. I do have, if I had to think like my dad, I do have things that I like. I like the fact that healthcare, childcare, and
the student
college.
All these politicians, they all talking shit, right? So you find something you line up with, but you vote for who you got to vote for.
Right.
You feel?
And Bring the Noise, you rapped about corrupt like a senator. So you've always been on their asses. And but by the time you get to Arizona, it was about
government is responsible.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean a grown ass person goes in and said, I ain't voting for nobody. To me, I'm real simple. Like voting is like washing your ass in the morning. You ain't got to wash your ass. You could exist not washing your ass.
Right.
You're going to stink every day, and you can't start complaining about people or situations stinking.
Right.
So it's wash your ass, all right?
Right.
So that's why I went, that was my narrative and agenda that night.
Wash your ass.
That's Rock the Vote 2020.
Yeah, Rock the Vote.
Wash your ass.
Right, wash your ass. But having a conversation about voting, especially at the presidential level, when you don't know who's running the school board in your town, it's like you're not even ready for voting. So this shit becomes like the Super Bowl shit. So I use that forum as a forum.
Got it.
And when it goes, oh, well, you know, back in so-and-so that, you know, Bernie's against reparations and also saving Assange Shakur. And I'm like, the fuck would I rely on him to actually do these things anyway?
Right.
Fuck, I'm gonna rely on any of these
You have
people.
a realistic idea of what the government, he's running for top cop.
With me, man, I'm so radical in my thoughts. My thoughts is like this. If you don't get a passport and leave this motherfucker half the time, you're a slave in the United States of America. You slavery here. You got to get out of here or connect with the diaspora. If you don't know anything about the diaspora, if you don't connect with situations outside this radiation by radio.
Now, you are a member of Trans-Africa Forum, right?
Yes, I mean, I don't know what a member means, but when they need
honorary,
help, when situations need, like Nation of Islam, when they need my help, I'm there, bells and whistles.
That's right.
Nation of Islam is taking Public Enemy to places that none of them old booking agents would take. I've been in the middle of the Middle East in Lebanon, man, in Beirut, man, in battle-scarred buildings, man, talking to the hip-hop communities in the Middle East where they all convene and this place would never, ever go there.
And the nation focuses on Black America, but I wanted to bring up the Trans-Africa thing because I think it's important in this very very xenophobic era to know that Chuck D from Public Enemy supports the diaspora and supports Black people struggling all over the world, not just in America.
Man,
as a Pan-Africanist.
If you cut off the rest of the world and stay to North Carolina, to San Francisco, man, the lower, they don't even include the two other states, Alaska and Hawaii. I mean, the lower 48, the lower 48 continent. You're a slave, man.
Right.
You got to break the chains by at least thinking. That's what I'm saying. With your phone, toy a tool. If it's a tool, you communicating with half the people on your phone that are outside the box.
Right.
So you can build something with them. Like minds can also build with like minds. If you stuck in one place in the United States and expect that this country gonna do anything for you, you crazy.
That's right.
It ain't happening, man. I'm telling you. Look, so I'm a finalist.
Right.
And I don't like to talk because once I start talking, it's discouraging. So you don't want to discourage young people.
Right.
You want to say, you know what? Think local, right? I mean, think global, act local,
right?
But also understand it's like childcare is important, man. My daughter just had a child. Trust me, childcare is my first granddaughter.
Congrats.
Trust me, childcare is like this on her brain. She ain't really feel it. She ain't thinking about nothing else. Healthcare. My father transitioned 4 years ago. Had to go back and forth. People talk about this virus or whatever. Yo, man, healthcare is like a human issue.
That's right.
All this other talk and all that. Yes, I believe in reparations, but you know what? I've been simple with it. Black folks shouldn't have to pay no tax, property tax, income tax, or whatever. But you know what that does? That's a riot, man. People are gonna be like, "What?"
There's a riot going on.
You gonna see white riots actually because the nerve of them niggas not paying no tax and they just give out a whole bunch of their lineage stories and all that.
Right.
So to me, that's reparations. As opposed to or you have economists and people will systematically could break it down to make somebody like me say, cool, let's I'll vote for that. Let's make it happen. But to wait for the United States of America or the Western world to give you anything?
That's right.
That's fucking stupid.
I want to add to bring it back to Bernie Sanders.
About the Bernie Sanders
he actually, 4 years ago, he publicly stated he was against reparations. This year, and last year, he changed that stance, and he's been one of the supporters with 12 other Democrats of the HR 40.
He was ill-informed about it.
He was ill-informed.
Like most of these people about black folks, brown folks, folks of color, they're ill-informed. They don't know a goddamn thing, really.
Right.
So, I mean, what am I feeling when I look at presidents? I'm like, okay, Kamala Harris, let's go. Booker. All right. Why? Because they black. All right.
Right.
That was Barack Obama with me.
Right.
Although in 2008, I rolled for Cynthia McKinney and Rosa Clemente to open up the Green Party.
Rosa Clemente. And in 2010, you made when Obama was president, a lot of people liked Obama as a president, but his immigration policy was draconian. You made a record called Tear Down This Wall.
Yeah.
People associate the wall with Trump. But people like you and other people don't understand that when you're committed to social justice, it ain't about liking somebody because they black. Like, I have my criticisms for Obama. I got my criticisms for Trump. Right. And my politics don't change depending on who's in office.
Man, I knew when President Obama, and I call him President Obama.
He will be forever president.
When he got elected, I knew he wasn't going to be Jesus.
That's right. You had realistic expectations.
You know what I looked at it? I said, this is 4 years for me to kind of get my shit together. Because he gonna be fighting. I gotta figure out you kind of like trying to get there, and he got 4 more years.
Yeah,
it was an extension. And I said, well, that 4 years closed. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. Dude.
I know you're a never Trumper. Like, you see Trump as an existential threat.
I see Trump as that dude that owned that USFL Generals football team. Now he runs Real Generals. That's the fucking fear.
But I feel like
this dude was a fucking owner of a football team, man, in New York, man. Look, man, I'm born in 1960. This dude's born in Queens in 1948, man. The first part of my 20s, man, I had to look at this dude as being a clown.
He's a clown. In New York, we looked at him as a clown. But I feel like your alignment strategically with the Sanders campaign to get your message out is also part of an anti-Trump thing.
Damn Skippy.
And so, but people, I think fans not understanding the perspective were disappointed to see what appeared you and Flav arguing over Bernie Sanders. What do you have to say to that fan?
Number one, Flavor don't know the difference between Bernie Sanders, Barry Sanders, or Colonel Sanders. He don't give a fuck, right? We already talked about this beforehand. Public Enemy Radio went up. His lawyer said, I'll cease and desist. I'm like, good move. Then publicly, man, you don't fucking sue me again. He ain't suing me.
Right.
But I can say it. Because if a public is confused about this, that, whatever, they're going to be confused about what's a lawsuit, what's not. Yo, man, you suing me again publicly? Boom. Fuck that. You fired, dude. This is my last thing with you. Okay. We knew what was going to come. I'm not saying it's a hoax. I'm saying that the original intention is to get your attention and not play attention, get you to pay attention. And
now, he said he can't be fired.
He can. He's a partner. He's a partner.
Right.
You don't fire partners. You just walk away from them. Once again, watching, but not listening.
That's right.
And now the narrative is be careful what you hear and see, because it's like, believe half of what you hear and none of what you see.
Right.
No, it's different. Right now in the digital age, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear.
Now, Professor Griff is a huge part of Public Enemy's story. And was he the leader of the S1Ws back in the day?
He had an organization called Unity Force. He grew up. He has the same age as the older bracket, and he brought younger people in, and then they became the S1W with the
This
group.
back in the day.
Back in the day.
Right.
And
because he's been vocal about this split, there's this perceived split between you and Flavor.
Because he ain't know nothing.
Okay.
Me and Flavor, man, been in production since the last week of February, coming out with a new album. The Enemy Radio album is coming out on in April. We're releasing a song, the first, probably since you're airing this today. It's called Food as a Machine Gun, and it takes on the food
industrial.
With
them titles.
Well, it's food industrial machine. It was killing civilians, and like when it also comes off. This is the 30th year since Fear of a Black Planet, and I wrote that record based on the dissertation, thesis, and book of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing.
ISIS Papers.
Yes, the ISIS Papers. That Fear of a Black Planet basically is the ISIS Papers in a rap album. Wore my brain out.
Well, you were a journalist. You were like documentarian. That's why you had Harry Allen in the group.
I was old enough too.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old. So you're 30 years old making a rap record. You got to make it sound like something, but you got so you get really forensic now.
This is great news, brother.
Well, you got it. You're the first one that got it. I appreciate it. That's why I can't say shit.
You
understand a little bit now. So there's a book by Kristen Wortman Lawless. I met her as a student at Santa Cruz, and then she's moved on from there, graduated, had a family and all, but she went into the industry of food weaponization or whatever,
Right.
whatever that
Food
is.
justice.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. So she just
Shout out
wrote
to
a book.
Styles P.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
She wrote a book called formerly known as Food. Dope-ass book. I told her I was going to make a song about it because it has a chance to be probably the most significant hip-hop record of our time because Food as a machine gun, Food is taking droves out, especially in the next 5 years, man. Food as a machine gun. So I decided to write a song, and I've been toying around with it and writing the song about this actual fact wrapped around it. Might not be the best song, but it's going to be the most important
song.
So as you know, as the stellar MC as you are,
I can't take in all this compliments and praise from Chuck D.
Listen, man, I'm here.
You love compliments,
I'm here to
Talib.
salute the general, man. It's fuck that. One thing about the OG, when the general's in the house, you step back and salute.
That's right.
We're at a time right now where I said 30 years later, wrap it around that and have that as a narrative. The key as an MC is, can you take something that's really fucking deep and make it seem like it ain't deep? So it took me like 4 or 5 months to truncate to the point where you, sugar, you don't love me, and it's got this weird fucking crazy ass, don't believe the hype-ish, crazy ass worm shit going on, right? But you dig into the matter, the matter is very serious. If you got an older parent, you got kids, you feeding them food, man. Body's a furnace, needs food, but you gunning them down, you can't have no choice.
No doubt.
And so it deals with that. Our album, the Public Enemy album's called Nothing's Quick in the Desert with 5 records that's going to be glued into it. And that's coming out in June. So April, album.
So this is all a big scheme.
Well, I don't want to call it a scheme.
Plots and schemes
But the
and
thing
plans.
that pissed me off, right? I was like, I got mad at the good look. Public Enemy always presented the good look. And when the good look just gets taken for granted, and I see like Rage Against the Machine going and they're playing like 50 dates in the Garden 5 times in a row. These are my guys, right? Who do you know in hip hop we gonna go in the Garden 5 times in a fucking row?
They gotta have a hit on the radio right now. If that. Not 5 times.
Rage ain't gonna have a hit on the radio, bro. They gonna just go in there and play. They got 50 dates and they was doing 5 Coachella dates and just like, and at the same time,
a few years ago, I saw Drake at the Kentucky Pavilion, and it was Drake. And in order to fill that, and Drake is at the height of his success, in order to fill that, he brought Meek Mill, Waka Flocka, Wale, this and that. I went and saw Radiohead the next day, same venue. They just walked on stage and said hi, we're Radiohead, and that's it. And rock for 3 hours, and no other artist, no other nothing.
Right.
Same
and
venue.
They present the good look, and they fans go. Now this ain't a knock against the fans.
It's not a knock
against the administration.
It's not a knock against Drake or any of those other artists.
Right.
Against the fans, none of that. It's just the metrics of our business.
Because the radio stations took over the promotion of hip hop, and they threw it down a flight of stairs, man. And for the last 20 years.
Jay-Z was talking about that. Radio said they won't play my hits. I don't give a shit. So, but he had made enough money to be able to to be the exception to the rule.
Yeah, right.
But he was speaking on that.
Public Enemy's duties, we got the baton from the ones in the 80s. The first Fresh Fest tours, right? All the groups were on 2 buses, bro. They were all on 2 buses. The whole Swatch Fresh Fest. Then groups started to have their own bus. But one thing we knew that we playing the same arenas as the NBA dudes. We giving the NBA a run for money, matter of fact, because people are like, oh, you gonna show up for that Charlotte Hornets game or Big Daddy Kane and them gonna be there on Thursday? And that,
you're going to see Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, and that place got like 19,000 in there.
Prince of Darkness.
Right. 19,000 for the hip hop show.
Right.
With the 5 or 6 acts, because it's cool.
Did you see Ice Cube on our show say you were his favorite MC?
Ice Cube's my little brother, man. He's Cube is the dude that got 3 brains in his head.
Right. Ice Cube
Matter of
is
fact,
down
Cube
with the
said,
PE.
Cube said that this situation was genius. I said, you the genius. So now the dude that was going to really
I mentioned that because you mentioned Kane, Burn, Hollywood Burn just jumped into my head when you did that.
Well, I would say, today's date, really, that we're doing this is March 10th. So there's going to be a whole bunch of people out there that say, oh, see, y'all know, he probably had to make up with Flav and shit, try to save face. I mean, first of all, anybody out there that I don't know, that they don't know me, they can say anything they want, man. At the end of the day, they got to figure out what did I say wrong that ticked them off, and then that's their issue. And we talked about this the other day. If somebody comes at you, especially like social media, I'm only on Twitter because I say at my age and stage, I only do one sock med. But I say, if I go in on you, I'm gonna forget you tomorrow. You gonna remember me the rest of your life.
That's
man.
right. That's right. And you can always send them my way too.
Yeah, right. I do send them your way. I say, man, I'm gonna send you this Talib, and you're gonna be regretting going down that rabbit hole. So, there's a select few that do know that I had to let know, like, me and Flavor have been better than ever. And we got finish out this month of productions. Let me tell you, just 21 days from it, because today's the 10th. April Fools, we're taking April Fools. We're taking it over.
I love
April,
that.
It's April Flav Chuck Day.
And that's supposed to be my day.
That's your day? Well, you gonna share the day because you from Roosevelt.
Hey,
we from Roosevelt too. So
no doubt.
But the thing about it is, like, it ain't just taking it over as a hoax. We have to come with something that's substance. And we feel that, like I said, my anger narrative was like, you motherfuckers don't want, and I'm not saying you motherfuckers like talk about fans or whatever, but I do got a little bit of Denzel in me. For like
the training day,
you
Denzel.
Motherfuckers.
Right.
I got 21 more days of acid burns that I got to take. I feel like Jackie Robinson.
I can't wait to watch this when it happens.
But Jackie Robinson first went into Major League Baseball after his minor league in Montreal, man. Dude slides in him. He's got to do the Jesus thing and take it on the chin and just can't fight. They said, Branch Rickey says, you can't fight, man. Keep it low. I got 21 more days of taking it. I be running into people. I got stalked by TMZ today. Dude, like, there's one dude in TMZ, my man named Jake. He's cool. I gave him the wink. I said, I can't tell you, man, right now. But later on, man.
We got the scoop.
And he got it, right?
People's party, baby.
Y'all got the scoop.
Right.
Jake got it, right? This other asshole with him, right? It's like, asking me questions, thinking he could get the scoop and escape Jake and get me as I'm coming to the car.
Right.
I'm like, dude, don't you know I talked to Jake? He's like, so what about Flavor? Are you talking to Flavor? I said, see, you taking the asshole role on me, right? That, stalked by TMZ for Flavor and Chuck. I hope it can sustain the next 21 days because we're in some out of sight, out of mind territory.
That's right.
And you know what? And let me tell you this. The reason why brains are different now because they created cyberspace to purchase the unused real estate of the remainder of your mind, right?
They created cyberspace to purchase the unused real estate
or the remainder of your mind.
You're not using it all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they bought every piece of land on the planet Earth. So where's the next?
They got to colonize the mind next.
I was watching, because you were just talking about radio play and stuff, and I was watching you about like 5 years ago, and you were saying that you feel like hip hop needs to be more black, and not meaning like, like the Macklemores and stuff like that. You're talking about more like the corporate world. In this day and age, do you feel like black people have taken more of a role in like behind the scenes of hip hop, or do we still have some work to do?
We don't have ownership of what comes out of us. We have jobs, if that. Ownership is saying, look, no one can own a culture. Culture is the thing that we have as an exchange of human beings. But with everything else chopped and locked up, we could take ownership of what comes out of us a little bit more. Naismith invented basketball. But we took ownership in saying, well, we have a way that we create and we have a narrative about it where we could teach and raise people with it and weave life. You know, the beautiful thing about music and culture, we could weave life's teachings through it. Makes it easier. Makes us have a shake and a bounce to it. That's Chuck D and Flavor Flav and Public Enemy. There's a shake and a bounce to it. The S1s provided another aspect of it to protect what you have. You know, look, at the door of every fly party is security. So you got to have all these things kind of like running in a community in a cycle. And
you brought the party on stage and made it part of the act.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean,
Revolutionary People's Party. That's what it is.
It is. So, I mean, I just think, like, I'm not saying don't believe the hype 2020, but don't believe the hype 2020. No it's doubt. Supposed to be the decade or the year of clear vision and hindsight.
No doubt.
So all the things that people saw, like the audio of that Bernie Sanders thing, I heard was scratchy like a motherfucker. So motherfuckers couldn't have been hearing what I was saying on stage. They were just looking. And they were looking, they said, Chuck, he ain't got flavor. And I heard this news. They didn't notice anybody else on the stage. They just noticed Chuck and didn't take the time to look at anybody else. So be careful of what you see before you talk, because there's a lot of things going on. What I was saying. Right. And it became a perfect storm. It doesn't mean that we're out of here. I got 21 more days, man. Cats stop me every block. Yo, man, it's fucked up what you did to Flavor. And he's taking hits. Like, good, man. About time he kicked your ass out. And the important thing with the rest of this year that we think this could be a narrative about what Public Enemy represented. It ain't got to be about us. We're going to be who we are anyway. There's too many places for us to go that
it's a lot of history.
Easy. Yeah. It's important for me to bring Flavor's stock up. I could take the hits. I could come down. Flavor could come up. We even out. We good.
That's a partnership.
If I'm here, he's here. I mean, we got to drag him up, make excuses for him. So, you know what I'm saying? You never see me beat him up, ever. Never see like, oh, yeah, never see me beat him up. We watching a lot of people now. Me, and matter of fact, he watching people and like nudging me like, you see?
I can see where the snakes are.
See this? Yep. Oh, man. Exposing to the, it's, oh, man.
Cut the grass. You cut the grass just now.
Yeah. I mean, man, I did not tell hardly anybody. And if I told anybody, you know who's in control of the silent thing? Flavor will be whooping my ass. If he found out I was on this show right now, he would be whooping my ass. And I have to take it. Not that he gonna whoop my ass, but I have to take the whooping because I violated the trust. But me and you, we know how important this is.
Flavor, I got you if you watch it. You and Flavor, you know, when you said the 1-2 punch of
James Brown, Bobby Bird.
The 1-2 punch of Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. Straight up racist to sucker, simple and plain. And then Flavor with the motherfuck him and John Wayne. That was such a revolutionary moment.
Well, he had to voice all my punchlines that I wrote. And I'd be like, damn, man, you got the hell of a fucking punchline I wrote. Fuck it, you got it.
No, but I think that radicalized me. It radicalized people like Ice Cube. It radicalized people like Tupac. Now, Adisa Benjoko, founder of Hip Hop Chess Federation. That's right. Friend of Tupac.
Yes.
Tells a story about Tupac being at a Public Enemy show when right after he had been beaten up by the police.
Yeah.
When Tupac Lives Now came out, and you got wind of it, and you stopped the show in Oakland to dedicate a song to Tupac.
Yeah.
And this brought Tupac to tears.
Yeah.
Then Tupac wrote you a letter from jail that you shared on your social media.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about what you were going through on that stage, and then talk to me about the feelings behind that letter and your correspondence with Tupac?
Well, that was easy because Tupac was like a little brother with us. He was a dude carrying bags for Digital Underground, but also Shock G would let him get a little rhyme time if they expanded the show out. Remember, Public Enemy, actually, our responsibility was to bring other cats on the show. So on that tour, 1990, it was us and Heavy D bringing everybody around. Public Enemy is the first group, along with Stetsasonic, that went to all different parts of this country and saw hip-hop in other regions. Before that, hip-hop just came up out of New York across the United States. But then in 1988, with the Bring the Noise tour, was Public Enemy, Stetson Sonic, EPMD, and in every market we went to, we would go in the Bay, we'd bring Hammer on our stage, NWA in the South, Mix-a-Lot in Seattle. We was the first to actually go into regions and put them on the show.
You would shout them out on records too.
Shout them out on records, and I did all the liner notes, of course. It was important because I went to these areas.
Not just in the liner notes though, but in those verses.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Sir Mix-a-Lot, yeah.
MC Light, she
MC
can
Light,
run around fighting
all that.
people like that. It's important because it shows the unofficial but official unionizing that we're all in this thing together. And yeah, so Pac was like, funny thing about it, right, T? Pac and Tretch are both carrying bags for, and respectively, for Latifah
Flavor
and
Unit,
Digital Underground. So I remember the first time Latifah introduced me to Tretch, and we was in like Louisiana, like the backwoods, not even Baton Rouge, where the Raising Cajuns are from, Lafayette. And Latifah said, meet my one of my proteges, Treacherous. All right, Treacherous, here we go.
Right.
You know, I had OG status. Like I was taught, you know, I was known for the guy who was also older, because although Dougie Fresh taught me, I was older than Doug, so I showed him logos. Like I did the logo on the Get Fresh crew, the one with the raised fist.
Okay.
Yeah. So I showed Doug other
Wow, I didn't know you did that logo.
Yeah. So rising to the top and all that. So Latifah introduced me to Tretch. I'm looking at him. All right, you're going to be ready.
Did he have the padlock, the chain with the padlock? Not yet?
On the edges of it.
Okay.
I
can see Tretch carrying bags with a jail suit on and a padlock chain.
Yeah, because we helped break Latifah in too.
Right.
So both of these dudes, I'm looking at these young dudes, 19 years old, I'm looking at them. We go to a city, and they rolling out together. I said, dudes, don't fuck up. We ain't gonna come to save your ass. Don't fuck up. I was like Uncle Chuck.
Right.
That's where the Uncle Chuck came from. I was always Uncle Chuck.
Right.
And I was like, dude, I'm watching both of y'all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
One day, Pac will get that verse. He's on there doing like whatever, doing his thing.
Right.
Gets that verse. Later on, he did the same song a little bit later.
Right.
You know, he finally
When I
got his,
around, when I come around with the underground.
That was his coming out party. I sent him a little note. I said, oh, you big man now.
Okay.
And then Tretch had, the whole Naughty by Nature next year. But it was a wonderful joy seeing them young men enjoying their coming out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, these guys are going to be stars, and they were buddies like that. So this is why when what happened to Pac, it really seriously affected Tretch.
That's right.
These dudes were like young rookies, man. So they were rookies, and the next year they were kind of like stars.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a joy, because I come from the sports world, but I never was good in sports, but I always enjoyed like when you see somebody come in and get coached and then that person's the baller, you know. The coaching is very important. Not that we teaching them how to
missing
rap.
a lot of that.
Yeah. Here's the stage, man. You treat the stage like
how Houdini did for you.
It was a beautiful time, man. It was a beautiful time. And whenever somebody says something about Pac, I think of Tretch. Whenever I think about Tretch, I think about Pac.
As it should be.
As it should be. It's a beautiful moment in me. So seeing that Pac had that little issue or whatever with the police, I'm on stage. So I'm like saying, what the fuck? That's Pac? Get your ass up here, bro. It's like one of those things. And we shut down the show. It was at Kaiser. And this is our little dude, man. This is our little brother, man. And there was a case one time, Oklahoma City. Dude busted in our dressing room and stole our shit. I mean, I stole 8, Uzis and whatever, and, show shit. They found and closed the building, right? And they found the dude, but the dude kind of took him and hit him in that building in Oklahoma City and was lying. Pac was back there. Pac had this dude yoked up and was like, listen. Pac, it's not that serious. Had the dude yoked up, I'll kill you. I was like, yo, he would have killed him, man. Really. I'm like, calm down. But you looked at this dude, it's like, this dude is fire. It's like, and I'm the Uncle Chuck, like, listen, man.
Public Enemy, he was serious about Public Enemy, though.
Serious? Yes, he was serious about it. So, but I'm glad that Pac didn't kill this dude, because we never would have heard about him. But that was the type of mentorship we were given while being on stage. And it was advantageous that I'm on stage, I'm getting down. But before we was actually doing tours, the headliner never checked out the opening group. When we were in the headline position for especially 5 years in a row, I always made it my business to go to the first group and encourage them, man. That was a beautiful period.
And
man.
that's why you are who you are, and that's why you get so much respect.
Yeah.
I got recently a chance to see you went to Adelphi, and then you got an honorary doctorate
From your dad.
From my dad.
That was one of the highlights of my life,
Right.
man.
Shout out to Perry Green.
Yeah, Dr. Perry Green, and the fact that your dad put the honorary doctorate thing around my neck, man. It's like,
yeah, man, that's my real dad, and you like my hip hop dad. So it's like to see that come together.
And I think I hit you immediately, man. I think we both hit you.
And then I ran into you when you got on the plane to fly back to LA. I seen you in the airport right after that happened.
I just was with your dad, and this is what I mean by the good look. These good looks should be like exalted. So it's like the most somebody gonna say about Public Enemy in the last X amount of years in this country is going to be because Chuck D and Flavor Flav are beefing. So I'm like, all the times we come in and we can't play the Garden because the 20,000 or 50,000 that they say they love us ain't going to pack the Garden because everybody going to pack something else.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not saying it should happen, but it should happen for somebody.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm like saying, because I'm already woven in playing in stadiums and
Prophets
arenas
of Rage
and Prophets of Rage and stuff like that, but we like borrowing another
right. It's got to
genre.
bring
it ain't us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we're like, there's a laziness in the artistry.
And y'all along with Run DMC, with doing the video with Aerosmith, y'all broke down those barriers for rock and rap with Anthrax, and it's interesting to see the Anthrax dudes rapping about how hip hop Farrakhan, about how hip hop is not a band, it's just a DJ.
Right.
All those things are interesting, but you're right. It's like it shouldn't be that. No one thinks of the first white person to do anything.
Right.
We always think about the first black person to be on MTV. The first black person to play 5 times at the Garden.
I knew that this was going to be a problem in the early 90s because they hip hop went to the majors, but they kind of like just shaved all the areas which made the art responsible to the fans. So the fans got treated like shit. In the rock world, man, the managements make sure that them fans, man, are like prayed to. It's almost like an R&B too. Like a dude that's singing a song like Boys to Men, they'll come out with a rose, man. Them girls, man, will be like, you know what? I'll come another 50 years.
Right.
Hip hop is like this, like there was never a nurturing with the fans, so there's a drop off.
We have to do it ourselves. You've been doing it. That tour that y'all did last year with De La and everybody was a great way to do it. It's great to see.
It was fantastic.
With speaking, and just I have to ask this before we get out of here because Prince, we all revere Prince as a musician. For a long time, it was known that he didn't really like hip hop. And he dabbled in hip hop, would get off a little bit. Yeah. But then when he did musicology, he shouted you out by name on that song.
Yeah.
How did it feel to be shouted? Did you bring Prince around to hip hop?
No.
Okay.
I met Prince late in the game, and from the outside looking in, also through Wendy and his bandmates, they kept telling Prince about, yo, this dude is like, the way he got his style, he's like jazz, but he ain't, and he had a command, because Prince got a voice like this, you know? So
pancakes.
Prince is Prince, right? And the first time we met, we had a good conversation, great conversation, really about something and nothing at the same time, but it was more like, I feel whatever you want, because you Prince, man. So let's go. So when we actually worked on the song together, Undisputed was a cut. And it was like, I laid down the vocals to his track, and Prince was like, matter of fact, I give a little backstory. First went to Paisley Park, right? Dude had a yard sale. I mean, he was selling like guitars and
like Prince shit.
Yeah, like he was selling like and going around, right? With pulling up the tag. Well, this amp. Yeah, you just have, I get it just to you about $430. I'm like, the fuck? He's like, get a yard sale on the Paisley Park. Then we went inside. I saw the basketball rim, but I ain't gonna play no ball with you, dude.
Right.
So we gonna go, I laid in the verse. And then he's like, cool. Just sit in the lobby. So you see like we look through these windows right here. Dude was, I swear to God, looked like he was making a salad, man. He was pulling tape and shit like, it's like, da, 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 da. I'm like, the fuck?
Right.
He said, yo, come on and check this out. Went in and checked it out. I was like, shh.
Man.
He engineered it.
I saw him do his Prince thing.
Did the Prince fucking
Dave
thing.
Chappelle has a thing. He says, it's a special moment when you see somebody do the thing.
Yeah.
When you see Chuck D on stage doing Public Enemy, like you saw Chuck D do the thing. You saw Prince do the thing.
I saw Prince do the thing, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then he was like, let's hang out later on tonight. And I heard he was notorious, like taking it to the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, I've been to a bunch of those parties.
But I'm like, yo, I'm tired. I'm notoriously the other way, man. I'm like, after I do this thing, but Prince, he calls you, then you got to kind of get down with him and stuff like that. Doubt. So I got down with Prince quite a few times. You got to be on it, but yo, man, that struck me. That was, matter of fact, my dad had passed away only a couple months early, so it didn't strike me hard. It was one of those what's next.
Yeah.
So it was in that whole wave. And as a matter of fact, he passed away the day before was to be my father's birthday on April 22nd. He passed on April 21st. So I'm kind of already like swelled up getting ready for the 22nd, and that happened on the 21st. So I was like, oh, what next? But yeah, man, it's had so many stories, man. I'm very glad that I was able to open myself in the forum.
Me too,
I don't know.
We really
I don't know if
you.
I'll have those acid birds. 21.
We have to do a part 2 because this at least. Like at the top of my notes, it says there's so many questions. Normally we do these interviews and I run out of questions. I have to think. I have 3 pages of questions I didn't get to. We have to do a part 2.
That's how we go. I mean, sometimes because I do interviewing too, so you always kind of use your skills to kind of dig it out of somebody. And sometimes you might have somebody who's staring at you.
But you got a story to tell for this, as well as your storied history. You had a story to tell.
Yeah, the story to tell. Like I said, it's like. Flavor's phenomenal, man, and I really pleasantly happy that he had people that really feel, regardless or whatever, because my narrative, I would tell people throughout the years, man, I said, yo, man, just like, come on, everybody got a Flavor Flav in their family, man.
I'm the Flavor Flav.
I mean, you got it.
You're the Flavor Flav
I'm
of
the
your
Flavor
family.
Flav of my family.
Come on, man.
You're the Flavor Flav of this show.
Of the show, right?
Shit, okay.
So
Jazzy Jazz.
So he would be attacked.
Yeah, boy.
And he would be attacked, and I'd be like, ah, man, yo, man, I got to dust him off, man, and protect that. And sometimes some things were hard to protect too. It's like, come on, man, dude. But that's what it is, man. It's just what it is, man. If I don't want to deal with it, I walk away from it. And I've given vacations to that.
No doubt.
We all grown people, man. We all grown, got our whole thing, and don't want to see nobody fall on the well. Now, if you're not part and you feel that you're not part of the team, there's gonna be some issues with you. But at the top is Chuck D and Flavor Flav. And that pretty much the buck starts there. So like I said, there's a lot of things that are happening right now, man, that we're both looking at. And we kind of like did the trading places $2 bet in the bathroom type shit.
Mortimer. I think that...
Feeling good, Lewis.
I love how he's been sipping tea every time he's dropped a little jewel this whole show, like sips tea.
He's spilling the tea. That's what it is. We got all the tea from Chuck D. We have a lot more tea to come in part 2.
We got to do this part 2,
We got to do part 2.
Yeah, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the icon, the legend.
Before they give it up,
don't give it up yet. Don't give it up yet. We're not there yet.
Enemy Radio Loud is not enough, a record. And Flavor Flav is on the song Food as a Machine Gun. It's an attack at the food industrial war weapon or whatever. And it's, Enemy Radio featuring Flavor Flav and Public Enemy.
Where does it live? Where can we find it when it drops?
You'll have it.
Okay,
and then you can find it in all formats or whatever. And then we'll get ready for a Public Enemy album in June.
Yeah. And
hopefully world touring in October and November. Not long touring, smart touring, because, I mean, come on, man. I want to, my thing is like this, man. 5 Rage Against the Machine garden shows.
Why not?
Bro.
Why can't we get Public Enemy for that?
How come we can't, like,
if not
7,
Public
8
Enemy,
of us get together?
Yeah,
and then
let's get Wu-Tang. Let's get something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's get Outkast. Something. I feel that.
We open up. We'll open up.
Shit, I'll come on at 6 when they open up the doors.
And that's what I say. The rock guys, I have to leave this note, man. It's like, I mean, I play rock concerts, man. Every time you play them, you rock them.
We sell records too.
Yeah, right. You get this little thing and you're like, I'm rocking the fuck out of the rock crowd, but I'm on loan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I feel it. I'm part of that, but I'm on loan. Be Real feels the same too. We're on loan. How about our fucking thing stepping up?
Especially since we created rock in the first goddamn place.
Hello?
I'm trying to tell you. And you know what people say? Well, Public Enemy, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And when the naysayers, right? And they can't fuck when I get the answers, right? Stunner answer, because this is what you good at. You hit a motherfucker with a stunner answer and shut them the fuck up.
No doubt.
Oh, I don't know about rap being part of rock and roll, or they should be part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we got one of the first 36 to get on the first vote in. And I tell them, I said, dude, we the fucking roll.
We the roll. Ladies and gentlemen, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Felt feelings.
Bro.
Woo-hoo.
Chuck D.
That's magic.
Thank you, brother.
Steve held it together.
Stevie B.